What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. A decade ago, Microsoft unleashed the Xbox 360. This is one of the fastest selling consoles of all time, and for good reason. It's got crazy graphics, great controller design, and Xbox Live laid the groundwork for modern competitive gaming. Honestly, it has a lot to love. So this week, to honor it, I wanted to go back through its huge library of games and count down the best of the best on my picks of the top 10 must-play Xbox 360 games. Number 10. Gears of War 2. Sometimes all you need in a video game is a big gun and something cool to shoot at. Gears of War knows this better than anyone. On the world of Sarah, only a few humans remain. A mysterious species called the Locust have hunted mankind to the brink of extinction, and now these brawny soldiers are all that stand between life and death. What I always love most about Gears of War 2 is that it can be fun for 5 minutes or 5 hours. The campaign has us fighting all sorts of weird creatures, multiplayer lets us turn the super weapons on each other, and taking on waves of beasts in horde mode just plain rocks. Number 9. Lost Odyssey. Kame is an immortal man who's been wandering the earth for the last 1,000 years. In the modern age, he's lost his memories and now seeks to regain his past and hopefully discover his future. While this game isn't made by Square Enix, many aspects of Lost Odyssey have an interesting Final Fantasy feel. Many of the directors have roots back to Square in the 90s. In fact, legendary composer Nobuo Uematsu even did the soundtrack for this game. Exploring dark caves with your party or running into a battlefield to destroy robots all has a much more dramatic impact with his music playing in the background. Throw in some turn-based combat that's surprisingly deep and you have one RPG that tries to push the boundaries of the genre and strangely is mostly overlooked. Number 8. Viva Piñata. This entry on the list might catch you off guard, but trust me, this is a game that's much more than meets the eye. Think of this as a mix of Animal Crossing and The Sims, while adding in some silly world-building elements as well. The goal is to construct the ultimate piñata village, and to make your town inviting enough that new people constantly want to move in. By building up the environment, you can get a diverse cast of wacky people to come to the city. Each character that comes to live with you has their own unique preferences, which creates an interesting challenge as you try and keep everybody happy without losing your mind. Anyone who's ever tried Viva Piñata knows that this is a title that can really hook you as you try and craft the coolest village ever. Number 7. Left 4 Dead 2. Few things are more fun than a well-built co-op experience. Getting to stand shoulder to shoulder with your buddies as thousands of zombies sprint straight for you is pretty hard to forget. While the original Left 4 Dead was awesome, the sequel added in tons of extra content to enjoy. We get to wander the streets of a destroyed America, wielding new guns, hardcore melee weapons, and doing our best not to be killed by the horrible monsters lurking in the darkness. To catch you off guard, every time you play through a map, it's slightly different. Items and enemies will change locations, making it so that each time you play through, it feels fresh. Valve has managed to make a horror game that's terrifying no matter how many times you beat it. Number 6. Catherine. Imagine if every night when you fell asleep you faced complicated block puzzles that if you didn't solve perfectly meant you'd never wake up at all. That's the basic premise of Catherine, except with a bit of a twist. This is our unfortunate hero, Vincent. He's getting up the guts to ask his girlfriend to marry him. Well, that is until Catherine walks into his life. After meeting this gorgeous woman, he finds himself having the worst nightmares ever. Pursued by creepy demons, he must race to the top of a tower every night, or die in his sleep. To make matters even worse, by day he's tormented by his girlfriend, his friends, and the possibly possessed Catherine. Saying this game is weird is a massive understatement, but that's part of what makes it so great. Number 5. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Our story opens with Lara Croft feeling rather lost. Dealing with the events of the first game, she's struggling to understand what exactly happened on the island of Yamatai. Seeking answers, she dives into her father's old research notes and finds records pointing to a relic that might help her understand the supernatural events she's seen. In her adventure, she goes from snow-covered mountains to crumbling ruins and even dungeons filled with secrets that haven't been uncovered in hundreds of years. This is a sequel that somehow improves everything over the original. Combat is more brutal, the upgrade system works better, and some of the scenes in Rise of the Tomb Raider left my jaw on the floor with how epic they were to watch. Number 4. Bioshock Infinite. Give us the girl and wipe away the debt. These simple words haunt every waking moment for Booker DeWitt. He's been given the mission of sneaking onto the flying city of Columbia, tracking down a woman named Elizabeth and rescuing her at all costs. Unfortunately for him, this job is far more complicated than he thought. Turns out, she's the mayor's daughter, and no one's thrilled about the idea of you running away with her. Luckily, Elizabeth has some immense power of her own. She has the ability to rip holes into other timelines. Need to talk to someone who died? Well, in another dimension, they could be fine. Trapped by enemies or stuck in a precarious situation? You can just always open up another portal and see where you end up next. The plot in this game has so many smart twists that it keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering how this tale could possibly end. Number 3. Alan Wake. Being able to capture real fear in a video game is hard, but the developers at Remedy Studios did it flawlessly in Alan Wake. Our character is a professional writer who's made millions weaving monsters into the pages of his novels, but now his skills have dried up. In his search for inspiration, he travels to a place called Bright Falls. Upon arriving, his deepest, darkest imagination is brought into reality. Now it's up to him to battle the forces of evil to save his wife, the residents of the city, and maybe himself. These creatures can't be harmed as long as they're shrouded, so you need to alternate between using your flashlight and resorting to your gun. There's a subtle sense of desperation to every conflict. It really feels like if he doesn't fix this, the whole world could be consumed. The further you get in the game, the more interesting it becomes, until eventually we begin to question if Alan Wake was ever truly sane at all. Number 2. Fallout 3. It takes a lot of talent to make something like total nuclear war glamorous. When our hero first sets foot outside Vault 101, things can be a tad overwhelming. Evil super mutants wander the land, settlements are little more than piles of scrap, and survival seems almost impossible. On the bright side, with some sharp aiming and some classy music, you can save the day. While nearly every aspect of this game is incredible, where it shines most is when it comes to missions. Fallout 3 is all about getting yourself into deep trouble and trying to find a way to blast your way out, all while enjoying some really spot-on humor. Just as an example, at one point you have to download your brain into a creepy simulation of a 50s television show. The episode starts off pretty normal, but the longer you spend in the program, the more people are slowly killed off by a mysterious murderer. It's up to you to solve the case before you end up the next victim. Seriously, how many games could pull off something this ridiculous and yet still make it so fantastic? Number 1. Halo Reach. Throughout the galaxy, no man has saved more lives than Master Chief. Using his bravery, strength, and a ton of luck, he personally managed to stop the Covenant invasion of Earth. What many don't know is that he comes from a specially trained unit, a team of Spartans built since childhood to be the deadliest warriors ever to exist. Halo Reach finally tells their story. This may appear to be your typical space shooter, when in actuality there's a lot of emotional meaning behind the action. The planet that these soldiers call home is of the utmost importance. This base essentially functions as a last line of defense against alien attacks. When the skies of Reach begin to fill with enemy ships, it's time for Noble Team to get to work. What really struck me about this game is that the battle seems so unwinnable. Spartans aren't normal fighters, they can survive nearly anything, but this may be one time where victory is outside their grasp. For its well-paced storytelling, hardcore action, and fascinating look behind the scenes of the Halo universe, I am giving this my pick as the absolute must-play Xbox 360 game. Did your favorite game not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. There were so many incredible titles that I just couldn't quite fit on this list, so if you're seriously interested in collecting for this system, go down to the comments. I consider all my subscribers friends, and really, my friends have the best suggestions of all, so please look at what they have to say, because really, there's so much that I just couldn't fit on such a small list. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. And also go watch last week's video. I did a whole thing all about the PlayStation 3. You know what? That has a bunch of awesome games too. Now, I'm going to go play Viva Piñata. Where's that copy? Look at that. I'm going to go water some piñatas.